Always use your own discernment when listening. These general readings are not a one-size-fits-all. Ultimately, you are the final say, so take what applies and leave the rest. With that being said, let's get started. Hi there, pal number one. Welcome or welcome back. So the first thing that's coming through is this tower energy that you're currently in, or you've come out of. And we wonder why certain events happen to us. Maybe we weren't connected to our intuition. Maybe we made the wrong choice. There's always a chance for recovery when it comes to these past instances that actually help grow us, shape us into who we could be, who we are meant to be. One person can learn something from a particular situation, but another person can learn the same thing from a different scenario. So it's not to say that anything in the past was wrong, but an opportunity for us to discover and shape us. But the problem when we go through very difficult events in our life is often that we have trouble leaving it in the past. And that can happen for any number of reasons. And in this particular read, what Spirit is asking for you to do is to try your best to take your mind out of the situation and really ask yourself, what can I learn or take from the situation? What can I do to bring acceptance to my past, even if it doesn't resemble who you are now, and even if whatever was done to you was wrong? There's a lot of pain associated with this past, and it's time for forgiveness to come through. That doesn't make, if there's any parties involved, them right. It doesn't make you deserving of the energy that happened to you in the past, but to look at the now and ask yourself, do I want to continue with pain and suffering, or do I want to take the higher road and learn what I could have done better, or to even learn how to move through difficult energies and let go of control? It's really hard to be grateful for those difficult moments in our life, but I will tell you this, some of the biggest battles that I have ever faced, while I look back and say I never want to do that again, I am extremely grateful for the part of me it brought out, the strength that comes from these difficult moments, the empowerment that comes from these difficult moments. While I don't believe that every person should go through very deep pain, I cannot deny that that same pain brought out a part of me that I'm extremely grateful for. And a lot of times it's taking that pain and allowing it to not control your mental state and allowing it to heal and transmute. And that isn't to say that it's an overnight process. The deeper the pain, the longer it takes. And one event can affect you in so many ways. One event can affect your confidence. It can affect your ability to love yourself and to love other people. It can affect the way you speak, what you're afraid of. It can affect how you love life, your hobbies. And with these big events, as we heal through them, we have to heal through every aspect of how that event affected us. And this is why parental wounds and relationship wounds are so deep, because we become so vulnerable when we're interacting with these other individuals. We loved unconditionally. A lot of times they helped us create things. In the same relationship, they could have helped us destroy things as well. They could have suppressed us. And when we have to heal a particular relationship, we have to address all of it. And while I'm not grateful for the suppression that I've gotten from particular individuals, when I overcame that suppression, I am grateful for the empowerment that came with it. So with this particular pile, I see you leaving a very difficult energy, or a difficult energy has control over you and your mental state. And this is part of an intuitive journey, a healing journey. So whatever situation is prominent in your life right now, I feel like you're being guided to look at it through a higher lens and put it in the past. Allow yourself to feel the emotions that are valid, because being disempowered is a valid emotion, is a valid event. So you shouldn't criticize yourself for letting a person disempower you, but instead take that disempowerment and flip it. And allow your intuition to lead the way in any energy that comes up that feels like it is destroying you emotionally, mentally. Find yourself in the emotion. Try your best to step out of the box. Discomfort, sadness, anger, and look at the bigger picture. Correct any self-sabotage that comes up, and move forward with the better version of yourself until you have collected every fragment of yourself that was given to these events, these people that affected you in this way. So that is all I have for you, pile number 1. I hope this helped and resonated with you, and if it did, I will catch you in the next video. Bye. Always use your own discernment when listening. These general readings are not a one-size-fits-all. Ultimately, you are the final say, so take what applies and leave the rest. With that being said, let's get started. So pile number 2, you are in a good place. You have learned a lot in life. This is my very intuitive pile, and you've been through it. But going through it wasn't for nothing. Going through it was teaching you how to get here, how to get into a space where you can co-create with spirit without the limitations of your past fears, without the limitations of limited belief. And most likely, spirit has revealed a lot to you about what you came here to do, what you're supposed to create. You know where you're going, and that's great. You have a good foundation for what is coming next. But there's indication here that because of your past, you may still be in defensive mode. As you step into this creation phase, any fears that are still there are going to come up. And depending on how much energy you put behind this creation will depend on how quickly you move through this energy. This may create a start again, stop again, start again, stop again kind of energy. And depending on how deep these wounds are, that's okay to work through those. But to make sure that you're not giving up on yourself. As these fears subside, you will start softening and lightening up. But it's also part of the process to pay attention to these feelings as they come up and know that it is human nature that when we start something, that this something is change. And the mind does not like change. The mind does not like unknown. And it may take a couple of times to gain control of that mind. In this particular pile, your intuition is not wrong. Your fears are holding you back. And so if there's any fears, let them dissolve so that you can completely step into this new phase. This feels very much like a transitional energy that does involve healing and moving through self-sabotage, criticism from others, and healing your relationship with the universe. In order to manifest something, you have to remove any blocks that are keeping you from that manifestation. And some individuals have a lot of blocks. And this is that stop and start again energy. Each time you're making progress, moving forward, as you chisel these older parts of you that are not in alignment with your manifestation. So please don't doubt your intuition when it says that this is where you're supposed to be. And sometimes your intuition changes because you needed to experience a release in order to sidestep into a new reality. Fear is a funny thing because Fear works not with our intuition, but with our logical part of the brain. So it does have its place in the world. When we see repeated patterns in history, it's that fear that tells us, hey, let's not go down that road. But the balance is, can you overcome the fear and turn it into wisdom and walk that line between? We shouldn't reside in a state of fear. Fear is just programming from an instance that we've had or seen in our life. And it's calculated by the mind to protect us. And the mind will like to jump to the worst case scenario. And so that logical part of our brain allows us to scan different timelines. Well, I don't want to go down that timeline, so let's jump to another one. But your intuition works very differently from fear and cannot be approached by the logical part of you. And that fear promotes an environment where you can overcome it and become a newer, better version of yourself. So what's coming through here from Spirit is a promise that you overcome every part of yourself that is not in alignment with your manifestation, and your dreams will come true. And what's happening here is dream big or go home. You have that choice to be in a better timeline, to be in your highest timeline, and to remember this part of the journey because it's actually very common. And as you work your way to the top, there will be others that admire you, look up to you, and will be walking a similar path to you. And they too will struggle in a very similar way. And Spirit wants you to remember this so that you become a leader that is focused on unconditional love and not a boss that is focused on self. I have a Pokemon theme song that's playing right now in my head. I'll link it just because there are so many theme songs in the Pokemon community. I'm not really sure which opening it is, but it's the Battle Frontier opening. So let me find that one and I will link it for you in the description. So that is all I have for you, pile number 2. I hope this helped and resonated with you. And if it did, I will catch you in the next video. Bye. Always use your own discernment when listening. These general readings are not a one-size-fits-all. Ultimately, you are the final say, so take what applies and leave the rest. With that being said, let's get started. Hey there, welcome or welcome back, pile number 3. So you're in the process of changing, pile number 3. And it's time for a new cycle to start. This previous cycle that you were in may have been extremely difficult. And maybe you didn't quite understand why it had to be this way. So I see it going 2 ways. You are either leaving a cycle that does not serve you, or you're leaving a cycle where you had to see something. And it could be a little bit of both. And so I feel like you are entering a resting period, a healing period, where it's time to see the bigger picture of why this phase had to happen. I'm getting a sense of difficult energy that someone is walking through. And maybe during this entire phase, you have no idea what was going on, what it was that you were supposed to learn, or see, or do. I'm getting a lot of confusion. And it kept you in a box in this phase. You probably felt very restricted. And you either had to learn to say, I deserve better, or to release control. Part of the journey of healing is learning when to walk through energy and learning when to walk away from energy. And sometimes we have people in our life where we have to walk away because we deserve better. And sometimes later in life we meet people that we absolutely can't walk away from, or our intuition is telling us not to. And you wonder, why would that be? Well, it's because there's something that you need to see. It's because there's something that you need to heal. And when we see it, the universe pulls us out of it. So you're really going to have to sit with that and ask yourself, am I supposed to walk away, or am I supposed to see something? But you're nearing the end of a cycle, or you're in that transitional phase where you're walking into a time where you can reflect back on everything that happened in the previous cycle and see the bigger picture from a life point of view and not a human point of view. And how sometimes we have to walk through difficult energies because we need that for our life path. Sometimes very special souls come here to give us an opportunity to do things differently from a more empowered state. And so this special soul may remind you of someone that destroyed you in the past. And so it gives you an opportunity to see how much you've healed, how far you've come, where the first time you may have walked away because you needed to heal. And the second time, it is teaching you how to maneuver in a healthy way through these energies. So I'm getting a little bit of that in this pile. You could be in the first group or the second group. And this is just the natural path of becoming an empowered empath. Because a lot of times when we start the path of an empowered empath, we start at rock bottom. And we first have to learn to step away and take care of ourselves, because there's no way that we can take care of others if we don't take care of ourselves first. However, as we inch through life in our healing journey, you may encounter people that resemble this person in the past. It doesn't mean that they're here to disempower you, but to give you an opportunity to empower yourself more, to become that empowered empath. So if you are on the path of the empowered empath, you can expect to see this happen in some sort at some point in your journey. And you will see exactly how far you came and how you can stay on top of the energies. And you do know your worth, and you don't have to stay in the box. And that you know how to flow through life, no matter what life throws at you, and find the balance between two worlds. And know that we can't control life. Life happens. But your ability to move through life with its ups and downs is going to show you ultimately how strong you are, how strong you've become, and how strong you will be. You know what you can handle, you know what you deserve, you know what boundaries to put up, and you know when something is worth your time. And as you move through life, you grow into a little bit more of this balanced person that your higher self wants you to be. But when you're walking this kind of path, just know that you always start at rock bottom and you build yourself up to the point that you are flowing with life instead of against life. It's about calling back every bit of energy of yourself that got sacrificed when you were at rock bottom. So that is all I have for you, pile number 3. I hope this helped and resonated with you, and if it did, I will catch you in the next video. Bye. Always use your own discernment when listening. These general readings are not a one-size-fits-all. Ultimately, you are the final say, so take what applies and leave the rest. With that being said, let's get started. Hi there, pile number 4. Welcome or welcome back. So in this particular pile, your spirit guides are coming through, and more so in a form of protection here. So I'm sensing that there is another energy mixed with yours right now. And we're going to revisit this energy here, whether this is an energy that is currently in your life or in the recent past. And there's a clashing of two energies. And for whatever reason, these two energies need to separate. It almost feels like a detour, but it doesn't have to be. It's like you, pile number 4, and this could be reversed, but I'm going to take a guess that pile number 4, you're taking the shorter track and this other person is taking the longer track. And that doesn't mean that the longer track is not meant to be. Sometimes as souls, we choose the longer track because there's something that we need to see. And that longer track is going to help us grow and evolve into the person that we're supposed to be. Here's the problem. Is this other individual placed you in a box. In this box, you weren't free. You weren't allowed to be who you truly are. And whatever happened between the two of you seems to have been spiritually guided for separation. It doesn't mean that you won't come back around. It's better to go your separate ways for now. As we go through life, each and every single one of us goes through different experiences that shape us to who we are. And I see two individuals that have been shaped very differently, which cause the clashing. But you, pile number 4, you're on a set path, and the universe is not going to let you get off that path. And if anybody tries to place you in a box, you're going to be asked to step away. Even if you don't know the whole story, even if you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Because chances are there's a probability for gossip, misunderstood situations, and the inability to be able to put themselves in your shoes. Lack of understanding. There is a possibility that this new phase that you're walking into, if this particular person was in your life, it would cause you to have setbacks. And this is an opportunity for you to learn who you are, who you're evolving into, become closer to your higher self with limited distractions. Your spirit team wants to reinforce that even though this person tried to make you out to be a certain way or placed conditions on your relationship that you should be a particular way, to remember not to take that personal, because they've had a different set of experiences that brought them up. That is exactly why they believe that, because their life taught them that. And it's not to say that they are wrong. They do have their own emotions that maybe you mirrored back to them, and from their perspective, maybe they felt that you didn't do them right. And those are valid emotions that they have to work through, and they have to do that alone. And you have to do your part alone as well. That's what I'm getting here. It doesn't mean that either side is wrong or right. This is a clashing of two individuals that had two very different lifestyles and learned to do things differently. And when they placed you in a box, Spirit saw very quickly that it was going to set you off your path, or at least hinder it, because you are on self-discovery. You are learning who you are. You are learning to be authentic to you and being okay. You're on a path to discovering who you are, what's real to you, what part of you should you show to the world, and what part of you should you keep to yourself, what makes you happy and what doesn't. And walking away from somebody that you care about is difficult. It's painful because our society is not programmed in such a way where if somebody walks away from you, then that's okay. We're programmed to believe when somebody walks away from us that we're not good enough. And the last thing that we want to do with somebody that we care about is to hurt them in that way. But you cannot sacrifice yourself in the process. And there are times in life that we have to walk away to do what's best for us, especially if you're on a heavily guided path that is set by the universe. This particular pile, this is about embracing who you are and walking away when your intuition calls so that you don't have setbacks. This can also indicate you walking away from someone that may have said hurtful things because they were acting out of their own insecurities, or their karma is catching up to them because every action has a consequence, and that might not be directly related to you, but Spirit is pulling you out so that somebody else's tower doesn't become your tower moment, your midlife crisis. When it comes to our own intuition, I have received downloads that the universe is teaching people how to listen to that internal voice, to go when to go, to stay when to stay. And this may actually be a stepping stone for you, because when the time comes, those select few that have learned how to listen to that inner voice is going to be told to go, and everybody that has not done the inner work is going to run away. And this is why I feel you have the internal child, because one day the universe is going to push you to the front in whatever situation, in whatever organization, in whatever job, and you're going to have to go when your intuition says go, and you're going to have to hold back when your intuition says don't. And those that have learned to listen to that inner voice will be pushed to the top into places where it is absolutely crucial for you to be able to follow your intuition. Think politics, corrupted organizations, high religion. These kind of places require you to have a backbone, to be emotionally stable, to learn not to internalize, to understand that everybody is on their own path, and most importantly, spiritual guidance, when to go, when to stay. And I feel like this situation, depending on how many times you've experienced this in the past, and if you're experiencing it now, and even more to come in the future, this is more or less teaching you to avoid the longer path, to avoid the more painful path, and practice for what's to come, while all in the process of learning who you are, what you will allow, and flowing through life and all of its difficulties. And I think with this pile, if you keep going and you keep trusting and you continue to stand in your worth, but also have the compassion for those that harmed you, belittled you, and understand that they're only acting out of what life has taught them and what is life teaching them and showing them, there's no doubt in my mind that you will be moved by Spirit. You may be in the dark right now, and that's okay. This is just to respect the other individual's privacy. If your intuition is not giving you all the answers, allow that to just flow and happen. I feel your spirit team will let you know everything that you need to know as time goes on to protect yourself from energies that aren't in alignment with your highest timeline. Because in this group, I feel, is the collective of individuals that came here to set a very specific timeline in place. And those timeline setters will be those that are pushed to the front. So take with you the tools gained from this situation, push through the pain, and allow yourself to be merged with your highest timeline. And just know that if and when this other person can meet you where you should be met, that the universe will bring them back into your life when the time is right. But that time is not now. So that is all I have for you, pile number 4. I hope this helped and resonated with you, and if it did, I will catch you in the next video. Bye. Always use your own discernment when listening. These general readings are not a one-size-fits-all. Ultimately, you are the final say, so take what applies and leave the rest. With that being said, let's get started. Hi there, pile number 5. Welcome or welcome back. So, there are 2 energies present in this reading, and Spirit wants me to read both energies. You can be energy A, you can be energy B, and I'm going to try my best to read the energies as I see them, and you will have to align with whichever energy is resonant for you. So what I see here is a warrior teaching a warrior. So one side is somebody that has been through it, this particular situation, has recovered from it, and this person is now being put in another person's life to help them go through a very similar situation. So for someone, this is an area of expertise, and for someone else, they are walking into the battle zone. This is a divinely guided connection where one person has to learn how to have unconditional love for the other person, and then the other person has to learn how to have unconditional love for themselves. Because the way I see it is the teacher is going to be looking at a mirror of where they once were, and the student is going to be looking into the teacher as where they want to be. But both of you are warriors built for this battle. It's just one hasn't quite made it yet. So for the teacher energy, this is a time to exercise your voice in such a powerful way. And for some, this may bring up some very difficult conversations that need to be had. It may be rocky. It may be turbulent at first. It may require going in and coming out of the energy multiple times, because it gives both parties a chance to withdraw and reflect. There is a possibility of a runner-chaser energy here, and to not take it personal, because this may be, depending on the situation, this may just be a lot to process. So patience and understanding is very much needed. And for the person that's in the student energy, just know that this is hard. This is not an overnight process. You will not wake up and be renewed the very next day. It takes time. And not focus too much on the teacher and how much they've overcome. And be careful of the self-sabotage, the comparison that you may place on yourself because it feels unrealistic. Because this teacher, I guarantee you, the reason why Spirit brought them into your life is because they've been exactly where you are. So do not underestimate yourself. What you need is time and understanding that overwhelm does happen, and we do have to take a break. And it's important for you to understand that you're not on your time. You're on the universe's time. And the universe is not going to give you more than you can handle. And when it is more than you can handle, you can bet that Spirit will bring someone to you that can help you handle. This connection is going to be so healing for the two of you, even if it's turbulent at first. There's something coming through here about turbulent energies being the universe's way, God's way of putting everything out on the table, seeing things for what they are, even if it happens in chunks. And this is where that runner-chaser energy could possibly come in. For the teacher energy, the ultimate goal is to help the other person surrender to life and know that it's only up from here. You as a teacher, you may need to learn how to surrender to people who've experienced trauma. Many teachers, they've been through the trauma and they come out of the trauma. You may not have experienced how to help someone through their own traumas. And if you have, there's always more to learn. In this connection for both sides, it's going to require both of you to learn how to speak from your heart space, learning how to be vulnerable, learning that you're not alone, and learning to surrender to the egoic mind. A lot of people think that the ego is bad, but it's more about having a healthy ego, learning when the ego is just doing its job of being a protective mechanism, and learning how to override that when it's not necessary. And I'm being reminded of a biblical story of Jesus when he went and flipped tables at a church when God was disrespected. It's about having that awareness behind the mind. When that defensive mechanism goes off, it's learning when your ego says danger and your heart space says that's just a worst case scenario trying to protect me, but I know for a fact I am safe. But also understand that the ego, when you feel that gut feeling that something's not right, and someone says something and your ego goes up with a bunch of boundaries, maybe that's a place where it's valid. And in this connection, there may be a little bit of a power struggle, because it's like mixing fire with fire or water with water. You have two very similar people in two different phases of their life coming together, very alike, but on different ends of the polarity or duality. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Spirit just came in and said, I'll let you in on a little secret. Those that came to experience both dualities of a particular situation came here to change it for the better. So if you're wondering why you had to go through rock bottom and go through all this difficulty to gain yourself back, whatever caused this realization for many of you is going to be a huge clue to your life purpose, what you came here to change, if you allow it. And those in the teacher energy, you're just now starting to step into that. But don't forget, pile number 5, both of you, no matter where you are on this path, you are both warriors. And even if you don't see it in yourself now, you will get there with time. And the one that's in student energy, although it's hard, just know that you're moving into clearer waters. It's only up from here. There are some of you in this pile that have struggled. You've come from an environment with deep conditioning, and you're just now realizing that. Don't put too much focus on what was, just focus on what's to come. And because people that have come from heavy conditioning has to do a course correction on their mind, there's no way around that. You're going to have to be diligent about correcting the mind, and it gets easier with time. One of the best things that you can do for yourself when you get triggered is to ask yourself, what does my intuition say? And what does my conditioning say? Or what does my conditioning say? And is it true? That will set you up beautifully with working with the logical part of our mind that tries to protect us and getting the handle moving forward. So that is all I have for you, pile number 5. I hope this helped and resonated with you. And if it did, I will catch you in the next video. Bye.